This is Lisa from MobileTechReview, and this is the Vaio SX12. If you haven't seen my other videos about Vaio in the last couple of years, it's its own company now. Sony sold them off and they became a separate entity. This thing is so small, it's so light, 1.99 pounds, which is 0.9 kilograms, not even a full kilogram, and 18 millimeters at its thickest point. So you figure it's going to be compromised, right? In a world where there aren't many 12.5-inch Ultrabooks on the market anymore, usually your ports are gone, everything else. No, I mean, this one has a whole lot of ports on, even VGA for business people, because they do target business people. 3 USB-A ports, USB-C, Ethernet, HDMI. Nice. We're going to look at it now. But wait, there's more. Of course, it has a headphone jack on it and a full-size SD card slot. This has a carbon fiber casing, except for the keyboard deck, which is aluminum, and it's dyed aluminum, all that sort of stuff. So this is not going to be something that fades or something like that. Carbon fiber on the bottom and unidirectional carbon fiber on the top, which apparently is a thing. It looks a little bit more attractive when the strands go in one direction, and also it's supposed to be a bit more rigid. So it's available in 3 colors, the matte black that we have. It's also available in silver, a pink, rose gold they probably call it, and there's going to be a limited edition kachi color, which is Japanese for this really nice indigo blue, and each one of those is hand done and hand dyed and all that sort of thing. That one is a glossy finish, unlike this one, which is a matte finish. So with the Vaio line, they tend to target business consumers, and I'm not sure why. I mean, this is a laptop for anybody, granted. It's available with your choice of a full HD or a 4K display. It's matte, it's IPS, so it displays. We have the full HD model here. Not touch, so if you want to touch, that's not for you. One of the good things that they've done, though, is they have expanded the keyboard out so it reaches just about to the very sides, edges. So no more kind of cramped keyboard with the Vaio SX line. We reviewed the Vaio SX14, the 14-inch model, and this one actually has a better ratio. The trackpad is still small on this, but it doesn't look as small because this is, relatively speaking, a more tiny laptop. But compared to today's oversized trackpads, it'll probably strike you as being on the small side. It does have 2 dedicated clickers. Base model with the Core i5, that one and a full HD display, starts at $1199, so the price isn't that terrifying. Of course, you can option it up if you want to get a really big SSD, a Core i7, you get the idea, the 4K display. Then you can push it up to like at the $2,000, and if you want the limited edition color, who knows what that one's going to cost. But anyway, overall, a competitive price. So carbon fiber is very durable. You probably know this by now, but also it's more flexible, which means it can impact without cracking and breaking. But there are still people back from the days when Sony made Vaios who freaked out because you have lid flex. That's just the way carbon fiber is designed. If you go to Vaio's YouTube channel, you can see the rigorous tests they put this thing through, bending, force, all that sort of stuff. So I'm not worried about it. Back to the keyboard. Key travel on this is not really very deep because it's such a thin, small laptop, but it's not egregiously small in terms of travel. It has better feel actually than the Dell XPS 13 in terms of key travel and key feel. The tactileness is nice. It's got white backlighting on it. One of the Vaio signature things, and I kind of like it, they still do their own thing, is when you open it up, the bottom edge of the lid kind of props up the keyboard for a more ergonomic and comfortable typing experience. A little thing like that, but you know, it's worth mentioning. The display on this, it actually didn't measure as well as I thought. Looking at it, it looked pretty nice. I thought this would be your standard, nearly full sRGB coverage display. It didn't quite hit that for color gamut. It's a little narrower than usual, which is a little bit disappointing. Although, like I said, to look at it, you might not guess that. Brightness is pretty good on it. The rest of the specs are fine on it. Unfortunately, we didn't get the 4K one in to test, so I can't tell you how that one measures. I would expect probably higher gamut on that, though. Usually with 4K displays, they up all the specs a bit. In terms of performance, it's available with Core i5 and i7 late 8th generation Whiskey Lake quad-core CPUs. These are 15-watt Ultrabook CPUs. Inside of here, it's too small to put anything more powerful in there. And Intel UHD 620 integrated graphics. Again, too small for something like dedicated graphics. You can get it with either 8 or 16 gigs of low-power DDR3 RAM, and that is soldered on board. It has a M.2 socketed NVMe SSD available in a variety of capacities. So in terms of heat and noise, I mean, this is an Ultrabook. This is not a gaming laptop. You're not going to have the world's loudest laptop here. It's not going to burn you. Particularly, that's one of the benefits of carbon fiber. It doesn't get very hot to the touch the way metal laptops do. And they've got a nice little heat cage over the CPU heatsink, in fact, too, to kind of absorb the heat a little bit. So it's fine in terms of surface temperatures. In terms of noise, it's also fine. It has a fairly small but nice quality fan on it, and you'll hear it if you push it hard. You know, more than a wah. it's probably not going to bother you. The core temperatures do get up there because this is, you know, a good amount of performance squeezed into a small spot. Nothing dangerous or worrisome for the health of the CPU, but you'll see core temperatures go into the lower 90s if you're really, really pushing it hard. Say you're trying to export 4K video, which is not really something ideally an Ultrabook is meant to do, but yeah. If you're buying it for business use, social media, streaming video, some number crunching, even for some coding, it's perfectly fine for that, and the core temperatures are reasonable there. Battery life, though, you know, and part of the way they get these so small is with the small battery. 35 watt-hour battery is not a very high-capacity battery, and this is how the SX line rolls. You have a 45-watt, relatively compact charger on board. They claim up to 10 hours of battery life. Yeah, it's going to be really hard to do that. Just running it on the normal default balanced power profile plan with a full HD display, and we have the Core i7 model. More like 5.5 hours. Yeah, that's about it, with 150 nits of brightness and Wi-Fi on and active. So open this up and get inside, and there actually are, despite the fact this is so thin and light, things you can do when you get inside here. Remove a whole lot of Phillips head screws. You can see where the holes are. Note that the ones at the front are slightly smaller screws, so keep track of those when you put it back together. And just like the bigger Vaio SX14 that we reviewed, after you do that, do not try to pull the lid off. What you're going to do is use a guitar pick around the edge to pry off, and you're actually going to lift up the keyboard deck instead, which is pretty easy to do, prying with the guitar pick. Now there is one big ribbon cable, so be careful of that. And we're just going to rest the keyboard over here. You don't really have to worry about detaching the ribbon cable. Here's our M.2 SSD. This is our socketed Wi-Fi card. Often on ones this teeny, this Wi-Fi card soldered, so good stuff that. This slot over here, you might notice, is a little hard to see, but that would be for the Japanese version where you have optional 4G LTE, but that's not an option for the US version of this, alas. So under here, this is actually the processor heatsink. There's no RAM slots or anything. RAM is soldered on board here like it is on many of today's Ultrabooks, and this is just a little heat shield here. And we have a small fan and a metal cage. Well, it's kind of classy. And our not terribly high capacity battery here. So that's the Vaio SX12, a kind of refreshing, miraculously small and light Ultrabook with usual Ultrabook performance and an amazing number of ports. It's nice that they're still doing their own thing, you know what I mean? And starting at $11.99, it's not going to break the bank either. Granted, if you want to option it up, of course, you can easily spend $1,500 or more, that sort of thing. But still, it's good stuff for the price. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.